Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope you all are doing well, whether you're joining us from the office, whether you're joining us from the gym, from the car, wherever you are. Welcome to the fourth installment of our Career Connector Speaker Series. We have a wonderful session for you today, and we have an exciting speaker that I'm excited to announce. But before I do, I just want to take a moment to go over some housekeeping rules and then also share a little bit more about Goodwill of North Georgia. If you're unfamiliar with Goodwill of North Georgia, our mission is a simple one. It's to put people to work, right? So we actually are the second largest workforce agency beside the federal government, and we are dedicated to putting people to work. So thank you for your generous donations, for your shopping, because that empowers us to have career centers where we're able to have programs for people like you who are looking for a job, a better job, and a career. If you're interested in learning more about some of those programs, we have everything from supply chain management to technology careers, and my favorite is hospitality. I'll include a link here in the chat for you to explore a little bit more, as well as to get next steps. And you can feel free to reach out to me anytime with that. With that being said, I do have a few housekeeping rules before I present our speaker for today. This session will be recorded, so if you aren't able to make it for the whole thing, you will have a copy for that for your reference. In addition, the slides will be shared. The second thing I want to also pinpoint here is that we will have the Q&A function enabled, as well as our chat. So please, please, please submit your questions. We will have some time at the end for our presenter to answer those. With that being said, I now have the privilege of introducing our speaker for today, Ursula May. Ursula serves as the CEO of Your4 Solutions, and she's a progressive leader with 18 years of experience. That includes enhancing people management, customer satisfaction, and business operations. Her background spans multiple disciplines, including talent acquisition, HR operations, finance, internal controls, and auditing across K-12 public education, nonprofit, and private industries. With over 7 years of HR and talent acquisition experience, she has been champion for pioneering workforce solutions, leveraging a collaborative and holistic approach to create lasting change. Ursula specializes in recruitment, strategic staffing, performance management, training and development, just to name a few. Her dedication as a trusted advisor is further evidenced by her impactful consulting work with HR Knowledge, HRKS, and a prestigious award-winning business consulting firm. She holds a bachelor's degree in both sociology and economics from UC Davis, in addition to a master's in HR administration from Central Michigan University. And a couple of fun facts about Ursula: during her spare time, she enjoys DIY projects, portrait drawing, in addition to exercising and outdoor activities. Ursula, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. The floor is all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, Jordan, so much for the wonderful introduction. I want to say good morning to all. Thank you for attending today's session. And I want to also thank Goodwill of North Georgia for, really inviting me to host this wonderful segment on job search strategies. I really would like for this to be a very interactive conversation. I always believe that we can learn from one another. So during the Q&A time, feel free once again to not only ask questions, but also share any of your wins as job seekers. Once again, we learn from one another. I learn from you guys, and I hope you guys will be able to take some of the information that I shared with you today and apply it to your job search. So with that said, let's get started. Please, Jordan, if you can nod your head to ensure that you can see the PowerPoint there. Perfect. All right. So once again, my name is Ursula May. I want to welcome you to Unlock Your Potential, the power of preparation, persistence, and patience. And I'll be your job search strategist for the next hour. All right. So some of the takeaways from today, I will be sharing a little bit about my career search journey. This has some very, very interesting moments, but I wanted to ensure that I share those with you because once again, this is about real life experiences, real life advice and support. In addition to We will also be exploring practical strategies to navigate your job search with confidence. We'll focus on 3 key pillars: the art of preparation, how persistence can be your superpower, and the importance of patience. And then at the end, we will follow up with some final tips and then Q&A. Oops, excuse me. All right. So I'll tell you a little bit about, Jordan just gave you a nice little, painted a picture for you about my background, but I'll tell you, it wasn't all roses now. So once again, my background encompasses over 18 years of professional experience in diverse industries, from corporate retail to professional consulting and public education. And I served in a variety of different positions, both as an employee, a hiring manager, as well as a human resource professional. And so my passions and career journeys have really inspired me to build Your Four Solutions, which is a talent acquisition consultancy that is committed to connecting people to opportunities to build a better workforce. Now, what you're not going to see in my profile is there was times within my career where I felt like I was a wanderer. I was a career changer as well, and an active job seeker. And so some of the feelings and experiences that I had is I felt at times in certain positions unfulfilled, lost in my career, as well as I navigated job searches, with really no plan, because it was really geared and driven by emotion and desperations, whether that was frustrations with current employers or supervisors, to experiencing 2 back-to-back layoffs. And then once I figured out, okay, this may be my niche, this may be something I would be interested in, where there were some challenges with getting to that level or getting to that point, because I lacked some of the deep understanding and resources needed to guide me there. And so it was important for me to present to you today some practical and trusted tools and tips that will support you in your job search journey, as well as some sources that were used to really build this this conversation today, not only from my professional industry experience, but also a collection of real life stories from fellow job seekers and workforce practitioners. All right, so let's get started with the art of preparation. Know yourself, know your goals. So before you embark on your job search, I would definitely recommend taking time to do some self-reflection, really understanding the strengths and values, your strengths and values, to target opportunities that align with your vision. And that is not only looking at technical and soft transferable skills, but also analyzing your work experience around your responsibilities as well as achievements, and then being able to evaluate your interests and values from there. And you can't forget also to look at skill gaps as well, and areas for development, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So by doing research and researching the industry trends and emerging skills, that allows you to stay ahead of the curve. Always look at the preparation pillar as a pre-workout. So if you are a guru, a workout guru, or you love sports, think about it this way: the stretching and how important stretching is to your muscles and your joints, and also can determine your performance, right? And so the preparation process is truly a superpower. All right. So once you have some self-reflection and you've determined what your skills, your interests, your values are, then now it's time to develop a clear plan with realistic goals. And those goals can be both short-term and long-term goals, but they should be very realistic. They should be very measurable as well, with timelines and milestones that will help keep you focused as well as motivated. In addition, doing the research. Research is truly a critical part of your job search journey, and really will help develop that idea, those really key points in determining what type of company you have a desire for and you admire, to even the type of jobs that you want to attack. and then outlining those specific steps to help you take and reach your goals. So I do have a couple resources I want to share with you today. So there's a book by the name of The 12-Week Year by Brian Moran and Michael Lennington. And they really talk about, and I actually have the book right here, but they really talk about a 12-week year, getting more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. And they really exercise breaking down larger goals into smaller goals and then achievable tasks to maintain momentum. And those tasks can range from, or you use the intervals, of January through March, April through June, throughout the year. Another great resource, she's a life coach. Her name is Coach Val, and she is on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, I definitely recommend that you connect with her. She uses this approach called MAP, and it stands for Movement, Action, and Plan. And she really breaks down this strategy in 5 questions. Where am I? Where I want to be? What gets me there? Creating 3 daily actions, and then taking those actions and implementing those over a 10-day time frame and then in the results of that will be to accomplish at least 30 things within that time frame. And then letting the day before really drive and birth the next action plan. And then lastly, identifying desired job titles and qualifications. These are your knowledge, the skills, and ability. And comparing those to your current skills to any desired skills to be able to develop into that highly qualified candidate. And so one of the things that is important is this planning time frame, identifying your knowledge, your skills, and your abilities, what you currently have to what you desire to have, will then encourage you to do a couple of things. One is seek resources to help you enhance those skills in those areas, as I mentioned before, those skill gaps. And then in addition to, it helps you narrow down your job search engines, because there's so many different engines that are available for you to apply. For instance, you have the traditional ones, the LinkedIn, the Indeed, the Monsters, Career Builder, ZipRecruiter. But also there's different job boards that are targeted to whatever your desires are, or even your background. So for instance, there's ones specifically for nonprofit jobs. There's job boards for like JobGet for hourly workers. There's job boards based on industries, whether you're a veteran, you are an individual with a disability. The Department of Labor has one. From gender. So there's a second chance workers as well, retirees. So there is a plethora of resources out there for you to be able to target the types of jobs that you want in the industries that you want, and for it to be customized to you and your background. Okay. So I mentioned research. So research, once again, is super critical, because that all it does is really, it helps build that level of knowledge that will take you through the remainder of your job search journey. From preparing your application, and a part of the application, of course, is going to be your resume and your cover letter, to even designing your brand, your professional brand, specifically for, once again, that targeted industry or field that you're looking to explore. So a couple of things that I want to mention regarding the research of target companies is looking at their mission, looking at their values, looking at their vision, looking at their current state and their public perception. I know in my career, I've jumped on, very well-known organizations, because once again, from a public standpoint, they were well-known. And I'm like, oh yes, I definitely would love to work for that company. Where I failed to do was look at the current state of that company, meaning their financial health. Is this company going into the right direction? Could there be potential forecasts for upcoming layoffs, things of that nature. So a part of the research process is really being able to dig in, and there's a lot of great information online. Glassdoor is another great resource that you could use to look at really the makeup and the composition of the of a company that you're interested in. And then also not limiting just to that company, but looking at their competitors and looking at industry trends. Once again, all of this great information that you're collecting during your job search strategy will do nothing but help you through the full process, including during the time of salary negotiation, also preparing interview questions for the interviewer. And we'll talk a little bit more later about what that would actually look like. In addition to, now that you've identified some companies, now you've identified some areas in which you're wanting to explore, now it's about building your professional brand. Sorry about that. Now it's about exploring your professional brand. We talk about, and some of you may have heard the term, the 30-second elevator pitch. Well, that is exactly what your brand should be a part of, should really align with, and be a makeup of, of your skills and your experiences. And that once again will help you with standing out from the crowd. And I'll give you an example of what a personal brand looks like. This is one of my personal brands. So my name is Ursula May. I am a talent acquisition expert who is passionate about building the future of workforce. And I don't just fill jobs, I spark positive change. I source diverse, high potential individuals who align with your values and empower them not only to thrive, but also drive your company forward. So let's create a winning team together. And this is one of my personal professional brands when I'm working with employers. In addition to, let's talk a little bit about developing a professional online presence. There's so many different resources, and we'll talk just in the next slide about the benefits as well as the industry trends around developing a professional online presence. So that's through social media, that's hot right now, a digital portfolio, just depending on your background and the field in which you're in. Usually IT roles have some type of digital portfolio, using professional sites, including sites such as LinkedIn. Okay, so social media, I wanted to share some social media recruitment data with you, just to kind of give you some perspective on how powerful social media can be. So 54% of employers say they have ruled out candidates due to finding something on their social media profile that didn't agree with them. And I'll get to that in just a second, but there is a level of social media responsibility. I always recommend that if you do have a professional presence online, whether you do or not, to make your personal page of social media private. So then that way, you set some boundaries, and which doesn't allow for your personal life to be really interlinked with your professional brand. Over 84% of organizations are recruiting via social media, and that is especially around passive job seekers. These are individuals that may not necessarily be looking for the next opportunity. However, if one is presented and they're loving it, then they may pursue. And then in addition to that, 73% of job seekers between the ages of 18 and 34, and I will say and beyond, have obtained their last job through social media, and that could be through LinkedIn, that could be through Facebook, TikTok, and some other sites. So some of the areas, and I'll speak in just a second about LinkedIn specifically, and how LinkedIn can really be a powerful tool for you, depending once again on the field and the industry in which you're looking to explore. But some of the key components of a great social media brand would be having an awesome profile photo, also a wallpaper image, also compelling summary, and I'll go over these things in just a second, posting activity, digital resume, and headline, and then networking groups. So some specific tips for LinkedIn. There are two versions of LinkedIn, or two plans of LinkedIn that you have access to. I'm sorry, it looks like it's on a timer here. So there is a free version that allows you to explore different jobs. It allows you to connect with people. It allows you to see different posts. So just very general options. The premium plan allows you to do some in-mail messaging. So if there is a recruiter, or if there is a industry colleague that you'd like to connect with, under this plan, it allows you to be able to send them direct messages. Another thing to consider with LinkedIn is they have a great resource center. It's called the LinkedIn Learning, and it allows, offers resources for job seekers. Also, you can set different preferences and job notifications. They have an interview prep with actual sample responses, which is awesome. They do have an application setting that allows you to upload multiple versions of your resume, and then also demonstrated transferable skills. And what that is it allows you to look at some of the transferable skills to the types of roles that you are interested in exploring. You can then preset responses to those questions related to that specific field, whether it's in writing or whether it is by video. And then as you're applying to different jobs, you can submit those responses along with your application. And that application could be a number of questions that the employer has asked, or it could be just your resume. And then some things to consider, and I'll go a little bit more in depth in regards to really building that attractive and eye candy brand on LinkedIn. Once again, having a professional profile picture, but one that really complements your smile or your personality, but once again, still being in the realm of professional. Background photo or image that allows you to really be able to select an image or even some verbiage that represent you and your professional brand. I mentioned the eye candy. That's around the different content and images. Headlines and highlighted unique skills and brand as well. And that's typically going to be in your header. That is the first thing that, whether it's someone that you are connected with or the public, will be able to see what your interest and what your targeted area is. A compelling summary that really sums up your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, and experience. And then I always recommend to candidates, because once again, employers are utilizing this tool to assess candidates. So ensuring that your work experience section and volunteer section as well, education, all of those align with your actual resume. So if they do a comparison, then they're not going to see tremendous differences between what your LinkedIn profile is advertising to what your resume is advertising. And then some actions. You want to show that you're a little active. Now, if you're like me, I'll be honest with you, I don't have time every single day to post on social media. My schedule just does not allow. But what I try to do is at least once a week, whether it is posting something unique or myself based off of my experience, or repost something that I read I thought was inspiring and it's something that I want to share with my connections, or even liking and commenting on someone else's. At least that shows activity. That's a way, once again, to build relationships and to really be able to showcase yourself on this professional public site. And then join in any network groups. This is an awesome way, especially for the career changers, an awesome way for you to be able to start linking up with and connecting with industry colleagues. And I'll give you another tip on this, and I'll move forward in just a second. Some of the success that I've had with LinkedIn, even as a job seeker, has been identifying someone in the field or even in the company that I'm looking to explore, and I'll just shoot them a line to introduce myself and just ask them if I could take 10 to 15 minutes of their time to learn more about their role in their specific company. And I will definitely highlight to say, hey, I see that you've been with X company for 5 years. I would love to learn a little bit more about your experience and how you transitioned into this field. And I will tell you, it has worked. It has worked tremendously. It has opened up so many doors for me by allowing myself to kind of come out of my comfort zone, sometimes as an introvert, and be able to connect with industry peers. Okay. Now this is always, excuse me. All right, so crafting and optimizing, excuse me here, crafting and optimizing your resume is always super key, mainly because, once again, this is a representation of your experience, summed up in no more than 2 pages is always recommended, the industry recommendation. And it allows you to have a first and long-lasting impression. It's truly a part of your professional appearance. I have this philosophy that if your resume doesn't make you feel good, confident, and proud, then you've got some work to do. One of the strategies that I have used to not only in my resume, but also to support job seekers with building their resume is using the method called CAR. I know that Goodwill of North Georgia has an awesome workshops that they offer around resume building. So I definitely would recommend that you explore it if you haven't. But these are some additional tips I would like to share with you. The CAR method is really to showcase your impact. It starts off with a power action verb, which is an action verb that has some positive meaning, and is broken down into a challenge is for the C. What is the problem in which the company hired you to solve? And that's usually outlined in your job description. The action, what did you do to solve the problem? And then what was the outcome, which is the R for results. So I'll give you an example of what an impactful job, I would say, bullet would be in your resume. So for a food delivery driver, I'll read it to you here. So execute food order deliveries. That is the challenge. Accurately, promptly and safely, which is the action, adhering to all guidelines and achieving 5-star customer satisfaction. So I'll read that all in one. Execute food order deliveries accurately, promptly, and safely, adhering to all guidelines and achieving 5-star customer satisfaction. It really outlines the problem they hired you to solve, which is delivering food orders, the action that you took, which is to do it not only safely, but promptly and accurately, and adhering to guidelines. And then the result is you received a 5-star customer satisfaction. That, I will tell you, is an eye candy job bullet that a recruiter would definitely identify as aligned with the type of role in which you're looking to explore and applying to. As far as the cover letter really should be a 1-pager. It should sum up your targeted knowledge, skills, and abilities. The position and the company is really almost very similar to a written sales pitch, and it should be complemented by your resume. Tip number 2 is to tailor the resume and cover letter to each specific job description. Those buzzwords are super important, and you should really unpack that when you're reviewing doing over the job posting, and ensure that you embed those keywords into your resume. So then that way, whether it is a human eye that's looking over your resume or a database such as an applicant tracking system, will definitely pick up on visibility of those key qualifications that's outlined into your resume. Another tip is, of course, to proofread for grammar and formatting errors. I will say some of the applicant tracking systems, it's not very friendly to have like pictures or sometimes different colors, different formatting. They like it to be very basic. So there's a variety of different resources out there to help you find a great design and a resource for building your resume. For instance, Canva is one. And you know, Resume Builder is another. And then, as I mentioned to you, Goodwill of North Georgia also has some great resources around building a resume. The last couple of tips here would be, your resume is actually a change living document. So for every job posting that you are applying to, what you'll want to do is take a look at it and see if there's things that you can tweak within your resume to better fit that specific position. Sometimes you may, you may apply for positions that are very similar, and so you're able to use one type of resume. But sometimes, just depending on the qualifications of the position, it's best for you to customize your resume to align better and to be a better fit for that specific role, and how you can be the ideal candidate for that position. Right. One more thing I wanted to mention to you as a great tool is AI. You have to be careful with AI though, but AI, so ChatGPT is also a great resource for building your resume, and being able to take the job description, put it into ChatGPT, and then also request for it to take your actual resume and really customize it to that job posting. Once again, you'll have to go back and tweak, because AI, once again, is as good as it is, as the information that's inputted, but it's still a great way for you to at least create the framework of your resume. So those are just some tidbits. The interview process. So the interview process. This is, I don't know about you, but sometimes interviews for me, even as a job seeker, can be nail biting, and it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety. And so I want to share with you a few things that can help you through the process. Preparation is the key for a successful interview. I'm researching the company and the job description thoroughly, because that is a great way for you to be able to articulate your skills and experience as it best align with the job posting. Also, practice answering some common interview questions, and I'll share with you in a second some great questions that can be prepared not only for you to be prepared to answer, but also questions to ask the interviewer. And then building a rapport, but don't get too personal, because once again, this is a professional opportunity that you are exploring. And so you want to be careful that you don't provide any information that can be ever used for any unfair biases. And then dressing professional and arriving early is super key, whether that is in person or whether that is on site. And so I always say that the interview process is a two-way experience. You should be interviewing the company and the hiring team just as much as they're interviewing you, because once again, you have to determine if this is the position and if this is the company in which you want to commit to. And so it's always helpful for you to create questions so you can find out a little bit more outside of just the job posting and what you find on the internet. And so just some key questions that you can ask an interviewer that is appropriate to ask an interviewer at different stages would be, why is this position open to external candidates? Because there is opportunities where companies will promote within, but when they open it up to the general public to apply, sometimes there could be some reasons why. They may not have someone well qualified internally, that they're looking for some fresh experience to come in and support the teams. Also, how has your role as a hiring manager contributed to the growth and success of this position? A lot of times we want to know, what is the opportunities for growth and development within the position that I am applying for? And so this is a great way to connect with the hiring manager during the interview process and find out a little bit more about what their active role is in this position's growth and development stages. And then is there current skill gap of what is the current skill gap of the team? This is super important too, because this is a way for you to really find out what are they looking for in an ideal candidate, and then you can nail it by taking some of those skill gaps that the team may have and turn that around and make those your strengths, of course, if you possess those, but making those your strengths, and that's how you can answer some of the questions on why I'm the best candidate for this role. So it's kind of a reverse psychiatry there. In addition to what is the salary range, this is always a question. Do I talk about salary up front or don't I talk about salary up front? It just really depends on the conversation. Sometimes you can hold off by saying, I will, if the question is asked about salary ranges, what your desired salary ranges is, that you can ask, you can say that I love to share this information when we get further along in this process and I learn more about the role. However, if the job posting does not have the job salary range, there is a way for you to also ask that question, because you want to know if the desired or the offered range, it fits within what you are looking for as well. So you can ask a question around what is the salary range and timeline for filling this role, or even what is the difference between a $30,000 employee candidate to a $50,000 candidate. And so then that way you can see some of the things that the company is looking for in a qualified candidate to a highly qualified candidate. And then some additional resources, once again, for interview prep. LinkedIn is has some great resources. Goodwill Career Connector, Goodwill Donation Center. So when we talk about professional dress, you don't have to have some expensive suit to interview or to be dressed appropriately for an interview. There's plenty of opportunities to purchase or to receive some support around getting the best attire for the type of job in which you are seeking. And I always say business casual or business attire is always the preferred. And then Google has some great resources. Indeed, YouTube videos, a plethora of talent acquisition consultants that actually or recruiters that actually give tidbits. And then Instagram too. Instagram has some very entertaining ones, but they're very, very useful as well. Short posts to give you tips on how to answer certain questions during the interview process. And then once again, ChatGPT is also a great resource. You can actually ask AI, what are some of the common questions for the type of job that you're looking to explore? And then take that response and then ask it, so how do I answer these questions? And that's a great way, once again, for you to be able to get some really good responses and support with interview preparation. Okay. The next targeted area would be the power of persistence today. And I want to read a little bit about the power of persistence. It is the quality that allows someone to continue doing something or trying to do something even though it's difficult or opposed by others. Persistence is a key quality of resilience. And I'm going to talk a little bit more in the next slide around the power of networking, and sometimes how networking can not only is a beautiful tool, but it sometimes can be a little not necessarily intimidating, but there can be some fears around being uncomfortable with the power of networking. And so I want to share some tips that have not only helped me, but also have helped candidates that I've worked with. So networking is a powerful tool that helps connect to potential opportunities. And yes, it can definitely birth opportunities outside of applying to a position with 100 or thousands of other candidates, job seekers, and then engaging other professionals in your field or even desired field and community. So some of the opportunities for networking can be job fairs, attending industry events. And I know that the Career Connector has a plethora of opportunities each week to attend different job fairs, also joining professional and community organizations, and that could even be faith-based organizations, as well. Social media, friends, family, former colleagues, as well as schoolmates. So there is, I would say, networking can happen anytime, any place, and it's constantly evolving. And so some of the benefits of networking, once again, is that it can birth opportunities for job opportunities and even interviews, and as well as building genuine relationships that can help you navigate through your job search journey. I know sometimes when it comes to networking, at least for me, I don't want to feel unauthentic or fake, or sometimes the feeling of rejection. Will that person even be interested in talking to me, or do they have time to talk to me? Or even that self-sufficient, like, I can do this on my own. I don't want to come across needy. But everyone networks, and there's so many opportunities that have happened with individuals receiving job leads as well as landing jobs just through the power of networking. So I truly, truly encourage you to do so. So a part of being persistent as well is having that fine line between the being intense around the follow-up process, but not being inappropriate. If that makes any sense. So I'm going to mention a couple of things that can help you with your follow-up approach. One is to mark your calendar. So anytime that you have some level of connection with someone, whether it's through an interview or whether it's through meeting them at a networking event, I always say follow up within the first 24 hours. That way you stay on their mind, and it's just really, it's a nice etiquette touch that is still appreciated. It's a traditional touch, but it's still very appreciated to this day. Being polite and professional at all times, even sometimes when hiring teams may not necessarily be the most professional, you always want to stay professional at all times. Reiterating your interests and highlight your key strengths, having a really nice smile, and just having a tone that is professional at all times, and then being responsive and as well as being prompt. Leaving a lasting impression, a positive impression, is always, once again, very key in the follow-up process. Now, when it comes to job rejections, these are some of the things I want you to keep in mind, is to still express gratitude. So if you have not received a follow-up, or if you've received a decline in a job that you've applied for, you still want to express a level of gratitude as well as, so in a nutshell, thank you so much for considering me for this opportunity. If something else comes comes up that I could be a better fit for, please don't hesitate to reach back out to me. Seeking feedback, asking, were there some areas that you felt I could have improved on or elaborated that would have given you a little bit more understanding of my skill set and how it aligns to this role. Maintaining a level of positivity, and then focusing on the next steps. When we hear the no's, I know sometimes, once again, that can kind of hit the heart, but we want to keep moving. That's where the come in. That's where the resilience come in. And 3 things to think about when you do receive those no's is that rejection is part of the process. You have to think about it this way. At times you're applying to a single job that thousands of people may also be applying for. And so you want to make sure that you keep that in mind, that, it's a part of the process. Just like someone would say no, yes to you, that means that they're saying no to someone else. That rejection is a learning experience. And then also that rejection is not a reflection of your worth. Okay, it's a part of the process. And just to think about it, sometimes it just takes that one yes. So that expressing that gratitude makes a tremendous difference. So the importance of patience. These are some things that, once again, I've experienced, and candidates that I've worked with have also experienced. And so this is important. These are important reminders of being patient and being kind to yourself as you go through this process, because it can be very stressful and it can create a lot of anxiety, and it can question as well. You can start questioning yourself. And so I want to encourage you to take some of these tips here and start applying it to your job journey, your job search journey. So for self-care and compassion, prioritizing your wellness, engaging in enjoyable activities. So as you are applying for positions, do some things that make you feel good at the same time. And all that does, once again, is help you to really improve and enhance your confidence as you are applying, and then be able to really respond to those no's as well. All of that makes a tremendous difference. Setting realistic expectations and celebrating small wins. That's super, super important. If you get a response, to say, I would love to chat with you, even if you don't necessarily get the job, that's still a small win. You've gotten a contact out of hundreds of people, they contacted you. Also practicing self-compassion and positive talk. We talk about affirmations. I have an affirmation that I look at every single day before I start my day, is you are amazing. And so if you don't have those key affirmations, I would suggest that definitely you find something that resonates with your heart, your mind, and your soul, and allow that to be something that you remind yourself on a daily basis as you're going through your job search journey. And then a job search is really a job mentality. You want to set aside dedicated time. It definitely can be aligned. It will be considered as a full-time position at times. So allowing yourself that dedicated time to research, to study, to prepare, to network, all of those things, to do your follow-ups, have your calendar outlined, and noted with these different tasks and activities, and then tracking your progress and staying organized, and then networking actively and consistently. All of those things, once again, makes a tremendous difference as you are looking to be, or you're being patient through the process. And then reset, refine, and repeat. I mentioned this to you earlier about your resume that is a living document. The job search journey is truly a living process. It can be adjusted. It can be flexible. It doesn't have to be a one way. You're learning as you're going through the process, and things that you did well, some things that you want to tweak and change, some things that you're learning. So take that into consideration. Do regular temperature checks just to see where you're at, how you're feeling. And then if you need to, refresh, reset, and repeat. All right. And so some final tips around the powerful ingredients of preparation, persistence, and patience. Once again, these are some key areas in which you can, if you haven't started already, these will be some powerful ingredients that will help you through your successful job search journey. And I truly, truly hope that these opportunities that I've shared with you, or this information I've shared with you today, is definitely going to be utilized and can be a great benefit through your process. And then I will believe that is the last slide. Here's my contact information, my LinkedIn, on Instagram as well, and then my email, and I'll make sure that Jordan has that and available for anyone that would like to reach out to me. And I'll turn it over now to Jordan for a Q&A session.
Thank you, Ursula. And well, thank you so much for providing that informative presentation and really just giving us some tangible tips and takeaways. I feel really, really excited just about that information that was shared. So now we're going to open up the floor for Q&A. We do have quite a few questions, so we're going to try to get through them here. Ursula, so we find ourselves now in a virtual environment, just post-COVID. A lot of the times we're taking calls on Zoom. George asks, is it okay to use virtual backgrounds for a virtual interview? And he's interested in hearing your take on that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So depending on the job that you are applying for, I think that virtual backgrounds can be fun, but they have to be appropriate, and they have to be appropriate for the type of position in which you're applying for. Always say, you know, I'm a minimalist, right? So I like some of the more bland backgrounds in a nutshell, but you know, once again, depending on the position that you're applying for, if you're applying for something that that really looks for something, a skill set that's more creative, then you may want to get a little fun and funky in the background. But if it's something that's a little bit more mild tone, then I would say keep it simple. Maybe have an office setting, a blurred background, or a simple white background will do.
Awesome. Thank you for that question, George.
Thank you.
So the next question, one of the things that I really appreciate you talking about was the power of personal branding and how important that is to get in front of, you know, hiring managers and those in recruitment. You talked about storytelling, and I really, really love how you shared your elevator pitch, basically, and it wasn't linear, right? How important is storytelling in an elevator pitch?
It can be important because it allows the person that absolutely are just meeting you for the first time to get a little bit more understanding beyond just a general resume or a cover letter. It actually shows a little bit more of your personality because you're speaking that, because you're coming in contact with that person, whether that is virtually or whether that's in person. So having something that is really ear-catching for them to say, I'd like to learn a little bit more about this person, is always key.
Thank you for that. I agree. So the next question that we have is more so on the interview process. And I really love how you talked about when you're a job seeker is looking for, you know, employment, it's not just them on the spot. They should be taking the time to interview this employer. Could you share with us maybe a few or maybe a couple of red flags that perhaps maybe the job seekers and attendants today should look out for when it comes to that application process and as well as the interview process?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, is, you know, doing your research of the company. You know, typically if there are, there's usually on Glassdoor reviews. I call it, that's the public perception, right? So it's typically going to be former employees that are providing feedback in their experience, their employee experience. So those are some things you want to keep, you know, be mindful of, especially depending on what you're looking for in your next career move or your company. So if you're looking for a company that's all about diversity and inclusion, but you don't see any of that embedded in their website, you don't see any of that embedded in their philosophies, that's something that you want to, you know, look out for. If they're tardy to the interview, That again is another red flag. They want you to be on time, so they should respect your time as well, right? Also, if they are, and I mentioned this earlier about if they don't have really a succession plan or idea of the growth within a position, doesn't mean that position wouldn't go to the next level. But what is a career path? A reasonable career path for that position. If they can't answer that question and you're looking for career growth and development in your next role, then that's something you want to also look out for.
Thank you so much for outlining those. That's awesome. So the next question that we have is, and I think I know the answer to this, but it's regarding cover letters. And you touched upon the CAR method and being able to really outline your skill set and those results that come from the action that you perform. Thank you for that. How important would you say, from your perspective, is a cover letter, and is it always required?
Great question. It is not always required. You will have to determine when you're applying for a position. Usually in the application, it will ask you to attach a resume and a cover letter. Sometimes it just asks for the resume. So if it just asks for the resume, just do what follow the application instructions. If it has a place for a cover letter, then I would say create a cover letter. So I would definitely say that it can be important depending on the importance of how important it is to the organization. And usually, like I said, it will be asked or at least mentioned in the application process.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's true. If they're asking for it, it's almost like, hey, this isn't something that being overlooked is really going to be beneficial for you. So thank you so much for touching upon that. So just to really go into, because I think we have a lot of people who are still applying, are in the process of their journey right now. What are maybe some future trends that you can maybe share with us from the HR side that a job seeker can expect to see? One of the things I know you touched upon was AI and the power of using resources like ChatGPT and being able to almost utilize that for job descriptions. Is there anything else that perhaps if someone was curious about what to expect coming in the future, or maybe some recent trends that you could share with us, that would be great.
I'm sorry, the last part you cut off. You said some trends, and what was the last piece?
Yeah, so thank you. So any future trends or perhaps any recent trends that you can share from the HR side?
So I will tell you that recruiters and hiring teams are utilizing, and at times they are utilizing the AI, right? And that AI is not necessarily where they're using ChatGPT. In some cases they are, even with creating job descriptions, but there's other tools out there that are AI embedded, in AI with their applicant tracking systems. They are using that to identify key and buzzwords. I want to go back to writing your resume and having those buzzwords that are identified in job postings or job descriptions. Those things are very key because at times they may not have a human eye looking and scanning through each resume. They may have a system that acts to pull out key terms that are important, that's outlined in that job posting. And so you want to be one of those resumes that are being pulled out because you have the key words. Like, for instance, if it asks about organizational skills or specific technology, if it asks for certain, say, supervisory experience, if there's a specific duty or responsibility, you want to make sure that your resume really complements and really highlights some of those keywords and job duties and responsibilities. So that is, I will tell you right now, that is truly on the rise. I sat in on a webinar maybe about a month ago with talent acquisition and in-house HRs, and I will tell you AI was a major conversation topic. And so I know that it's something that is being used.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we know the disciplines are endless and it's everywhere. And thank you for outlining just how how practical it can get, especially from that applicant tracking system, and being sure those keywords do match up. Because, if you are looking at a job description that you're interested in, it may not even make it to the short list if you don't use the right one. And so we appreciate that.
And I will say this real quick, that although I'm expressing that AI is used and can be used even with develop your resume, I once again will always say your resume has to have truth in it. So what I would definitely say is don't put anything in your resume that you haven't done and cannot speak to, because believe me, that will be a part of your conversation, and you don't want to be eliminated because your resume has one thing, but you can't articulate or align your experience verbally to your resume and that job description as well.
Great point.
And social media too is another great trend that's being used with recruiting.
Yeah, and that actually touches upon the next question. So one of the things you that I appreciate that you explained was the fact of being creative, and one of those things is networking. Having a time just to send a quick email to a recruiter or a potential hiring manager. Are there any other creative ways that you've seen as far as job seekers looking for jobs in order to secure that position that they're looking for?
Well, I will definitely say the traditional ways are always, they never go out of style. They stay regal. So reaching out, like I say, using different platforms, whether that is the professional sites to joining different community and professional organizations. I will tell you, I even had a great experience. I was in Sephora. I was in Kohl's and Sephora, and I was looking for some makeup because I was actually going to be a part of a podcast, and so I was looking for some makeup. And so the saleswoman was asking me, what are you looking for? And I was explaining to her, and she's like, what is it for? What are you attending? And I told her, and she goes, that's interesting. She goes, well, my husband is actually in the field of consulting. And she goes on to say that she would love for me to be able to provide her with my contact information. And she will definitely connect with him, share my information with him, and then we could potentially connect. So I'm like, wow. Now, mind you, I'm like in sweats and like my hair is up, and I'm just gonna run to Kohl's real quick. But once again, you never know who you will come in contact with, where you will come in contact with. And where it didn't stop there is I waited for a second, maybe about a day or two. I didn't get any response from him. So what I did is I received his name when I was speaking to her, and then I followed up and connected with him on LinkedIn and introduced myself and told him I met his beautiful wife, and that she mentioned that she would definitely refer me to him, etc. And so once again, these are opportunities that happens really at any point in any time.
Yeah, that's an amazing story, and thank you so much for touching on the importance of just the simple one-on-one interactions that may not mean a lot in the moment, but could be used as you clearly articulated, to really leverage yourself to get that job that you may be looking for. So Ursula, thank you so much. This has been so insightful for me personally, but as well as for those in attendance, I'm confident. We really appreciate you taking the time just to share your practical insights, as well as some more top job search strategies that we can utilize in our future. For those who are watching, this session is recorded, so you will receive a copy of this recording as well as the slides, in addition to Ursula's contact information. As well, one thing I wanted to just pinpoint here is if you are looking for a job, or if you're looking to utilize some more of the tips that were shared today, we do have 14 career centers across the North Georgia territory. So please, I encourage you to visit. We'll have a link here in the chat for you to go to just to see where the closest one is near you. We have a staff that's welcome to meet you where you are in your professional journey. So again, Ursula, I cannot thank you so much more enough. For those who are watching, thank you for joining us today for our Career Connector speaker series. I wish you all a great Monday, and that's it. Have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you. Best of luck.